Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Today I'm going to do this video about the topics or the lessons that are required from term 1. And know that in term 1 material, 20% of your final exam will be from term 1 material. So in your final exam, 20 marks will be from this lesson. And the marks will be only in the multiple choice questions. It will not be in the free response. Okay? Now, the things that are required from term 1 are these. You have 3 KPIs from lesson 5, and then this is lesson 7, and this is lesson 8. Okay, so only these are required. If you want, pause the video and go through these KPIs in order to know what is required. We will start with the first KPI is about the relation between delta G, delta H, and delta S. And number 2, you will calculate delta G. And number 3 is the significance of delta G, if it is positive or negative or equal to 0. Okay, and then the rate law lesson, you need to know the units of K and how to write the rate law. And then from the last lesson, you need to know the K equilibrium expressions. Okay, yalla, let's start with the first one, which is about delta G. Now, as you know from before, delta G is calculated by the formula delta G equal delta H minus T delta S. Now, before I speak about these signs, let me remind you with this. We said previously delta H is the enthalpy or the heat. Okay, delta S is the entropy or the randomness. And delta G is the free energy. Okay, now we have the set of options. If this is positive, this is positive. This is negative, negative. This is negative, this is positive, and this is positive, this is negative. Remember, we said if both of them are positive, this means the reaction is spontaneous at high temperature only. If both of them are negative, this means the reaction is spontaneous at low temperature only. Okay, طيب هلا if one of them is positive, one of them is negative, take the sign of my name. My name is Hanan, so you take the H sign, so it's negative. Here also one is negative, one is positive, also take the sign of my name, positive. What does it mean if the delta G is negative? Delta G is negative, this means that the reaction is spontaneous. Negative, yani we don't need energy to do the work. If it is positive, we need energy to do the work, so this is never spontaneous. Okay, so first thing I want you to know is the signs. Second thing I want you to remember is that delta G is calculated by the formula delta H minus T delta S. Be careful for the units. Delta H will be given in kilojoules. You have to multiply it by 1000 to become joules. Temperature, if given in Celsius, you have to add 273 so that it is in Kelvin. Now delta S will be joules over kelvins. طبعا Kelvin مع Kelvin بيكنسل بيضل عنا joules minus joules, so delta G will be in joules. If you want to change delta G to kilojoules, you divide by 1000. Okay, so remember, delta H is in kilojoules, delta S is in joules, you cannot minus them. You have to multiply delta H by 1000 نحول التمبريتشر لكلفن عشان كلفن مع كلفن يكنسل. Okay, last thing you need to know in this lesson is the significance of delta G. If delta G is positive, this means that we need energy to do the work. Okay, sorry. So if we need energy to do the work, this means that the work will not be done alone. This means the reaction is non-spontaneous. Okay, هلا. If delta G is negative, this means that we don't need energy to do the work. We don't need energy. This means the reaction is spontaneous. Spontaneous means happens alone, okay? If delta G is equal to 0, this means the reaction is at equilibrium. Okay, so these are the three main things that you need to know from this lesson: how to calculate delta G, the sign of delta G, and the significance of the sign. Now let's do this question. Calculate the free energy. You have this reaction. He gave you delta H, and he gave you delta S, and the question is calculate delta G. Okay, so the rule says delta G equal delta H minus T delta S. انتبهوا, delta H is given in kilojoules, delta S is in joules. We cannot use joules and kilojoules at the same time. So this one we multiply by 1000. So delta H will be minus 7.9 ضرب 1000. Now the temperature is 100 degrees Celsius. It should be in Kelvin, so we will add 273. So this will be 373, and delta S is 40. Now the final answer will be minus 22800 joules, or if you want to make it kilojoules, you make it 22.8 kilojoules. Okay, if delta G is negative, this means that the reaction is spontaneous. Okay, we spoke if delta G is positive, non-spontaneous, negative spontaneous, and equal to 0, the reaction is at equilibrium. Okay, now let's do this question. We have the enthalpy. Enthalpy means delta H. Here delta H is positive, here it's negative, here it's negative. From the reaction, can you deduce delta S? If you remember from lesson 5, we said delta S is the measure of randomness. When the particles move more, we have more delta S. Okay, now liquid to gas. Where do you think there will be more randomness? In gas, so the delta S will be positive. طيب هلا هون gas to liquid negative, because in gas particles move more. Okay, هلا here all of them are gases, so what do? We add the moles. 2 plus 13, this is 15. 8 plus 10, this is 18. Who will make more randomness? 18, so this is positive. Okay, now if a delta H is positive, delta S is positive, this means that the reaction is spontaneous at high temperature. Negative, negative, the reaction is spontaneous at low temperature. Negative, positive, we take the sign of delta H. So negative means spontaneous دائما. Okay, now let's see the question. Which of the following shows a decrease in entropy? Decrease in entropy يعني delta S is negative, so the answer is process 2. Which processes shows increase in entropy? This means delta S is positive, so this is process 1 and 3. Which process is spontaneous at all temperatures? يعني دائما, this is process 3. Which one is spontaneous only at high temperature? So this is process 1. Okay, another question. I pause the video and do this question. I think it is similar to what we solved previously. You need to calculate delta G by using the formula. Okay, pause the video and calculate it. The answer should be minus 22.8 kilojoules. Okay, which of the following is spontaneous at all temperatures? Remember, spontaneous means delta G is negative. Okay, yalla, let's do the sign of delta S. Here delta S is positive. Here from gas to liquid, this is negative. This one is 15, 18, so this is positive. Now this is delta H. Positive, positive, it will be spontaneous at high temperature only. Negative, negative, spontaneous at low temperature only. Positive, negative, we take the sign of delta H. So this process. So the answer is process 3. Okay, this is question from last year exam. Which process fits each of the following statements? This is very straightforward. You have delta H, you have delta S, and I want you to deduce the sign of delta G. Positive, negative, ناخد إشارة delta H. Positive. Positive means non-spontaneous, because we need energy to do the work, so the work will not be done alone. Negative, positive, also we take the sign of delta H, so this is spontaneous. Negative, negative, this means it is spontaneous at low temperature. positive, positive, it will be spontaneous at high temperature. Now let's go to the question. This process is never spontaneous. Never spontaneous is K, the first one. This process is spontaneous only at high temperature, so the last one, M. At low temperature, this is N. At all temperatures, this is L. Okay, this is a question from last year exam, and each of them has 2 marks. Okay, now we are done with delta G. Let's remember the rate law. If you remember, we said the rate law is equal to K times concentration of reactants, okay, power M, and we called M the order of reaction. Okay, in math we call it power, in chemistry we call it the order of reaction. Now we will speak about things related to K, and then we will speak about things related to the order. دائما اتذكروا إنه الunit of K is time power minus 1. time ممكن تكون second, ممكن تكون minute, ممكن تكون hour, whatever. Okay, and then molarity 1 minus order. كيف نستعمل هاي الفورمولا؟ لو أنا قلت لكم zero order reaction شو بتكون الunit of K؟ time minus 1 هاي fixed ما بتتغير. هلا M 1 minus order، الأوردر 0 1 minus 0 يعني M power 1. أوكي، لو قلت لكم first order time minus 1 is fixed, it will not change. time minus 1 M 1 minus 1, first order means 1, so M power 0, so this one will be 1, so I will remove it. So it will be time minus 1 only. Okay, if we say second order, okay, so it will be time minus 1, M 1 minus 2, M minus 1. Okay, you can put any order and then you can find the unit of K. This is very important, and I'm sure you will get a question about it in the exam. Find the unit of K and then they will give you the order. So please memorize. Yeah, okay, now let's do this. Given the rate law, which of the following is the unit of K? Now I need to know the order. How much is the order? Remember, the order is this power. Okay, if you have this question, rate equal K times A times B power 2. Now how much is the overall order? طبعا overall order بيكون 1 plus 2, this is equal to 3. Okay, now here if you say this question, rate equal K, how much is the order? طبعا بما انه ما في A power anything, so the order will be equal to 0. Be careful for these two cases. Now here the power is 2, so the order is 2. How do you know the unit of K? K بتكون time power minus 1 M1 minus the order. The order is 2, so it will be time minus 1 M1 minus 2 يعني time minus 1 M minus 1. Okay, so time minus 1 second minus 1 M minus 1, so this is the correct answer. Okay, now another question. This was from an exam 2 years ago. For a first order reaction, the unit of K is again time minus 1 M1 minus order. Here the order is 1, so we will say time minus 1 M1 minus 1. 1 minus 1 is 0, so I will remove all this. Then I will get only time minus 1, so the answer is minute power minus 1. Okay, now how do we write the rate law? If we have the rate equal K, A, M, B, N, let's identify each one of these. Now the K is called the rate constant. Okay, A and B are the reactants. Okay, M and N are the orders or powers. Okay, write the rate law that fits the description and predict the overall order of the reaction. For the reaction, the specific rate constant have a unit of minute minus 1. Minute minus 1 يعني time minus 1. يعني ما في M. الM 1 minus order. هاي مش موجودة. يعني هاي كامل كام؟ 0 يعني 1 minus what is the order 1. Okay, so the rate law will be first order. Type for the reaction is first order in x. First order on x يعني I will say x power 1. And the rate of the reaction increases by a factor of 4 if y is doubled. Y is doubled يعني حطينا بدل y 2. The rate will be 4. Okay, so what is the power here? 2 power what gives you 4, so y will be power 2. Okay, this is k and this is the rate. Okay, now we have this question. You have the rate law x, y power 3. Okay, if you were asked what is the order of x, the order of x is 1. What is the order of y? The order of y is 3. What is the overall order? You add 1 plus 3, this is 4. Now, if the concentration of y is doubled, the rate of the reaction will شو يعني double؟ doubled يعني 2. رح أجي هون رح أشيل ال y أحط بدالها 2. 2 power 3 equals 8. Okay, next. Now, what is the overall order of this reaction? 1 plus 3, which is equal to 4. Now, in an experiment, the concentration of x was 0.2 and y is 0.1. With reaction rate, I need the k. Very easy. You have the formula here. The rate is equal to k times x power 1 times y power 3. Now the rate is 2 times 10 to the minus 3. This is equal to k. X is 0.2 power 1 times 0.1 power 3 and we calculate k. هلا هون شو حتكون اليونت of k؟ لاحظوا انه كل وحده unit of k is different. حتكون اليونت of k time minus 1. هون time second. So it will be second minus 1 ضرب m 1 minus الأوردر. هلا بما انه الأوفرول order is 4 بتكون m 1 minus 4 which is equal to minus 3. يعني الجواب الصح يا هاي يا هاي. Okay, do your calculations and find the correct answer. طبعا هدول اليونتس غلط. Okay, now another question. What will happen if the concentration of y is doubled? هون the order of x is 1, the order of y is 2, the overall order will be 3. If y is doubled يعني 2. So I will remove y and I will put 2. 2 power 2, this is equal to 4. Okay, similarly here you put the values and then you find the answer. Now the unit of k will be time minus 1 m1 minus order. Okay, the overall order is 3, so m1 minus 3 which is equal to minus 2. Time minus 1 m minus 2. يعني الجواب الصح يا هاي يا هاي. Okay, يلا put the values and find the answer. Now another question. For the reaction is first order in Q and second order in L. شو يعني؟ يعني when I write the rate law, it will be K times Q power first order يعني 1 times L second order. So L will be power 2. Okay, طيب. If the concentrations of Q and L are doubled, انتبهوا هلا غيرنا ال Q غيرنا ال L, both of them are doubled. So what will we say? We will say 2 power 1 times 2 power 2. 2 power 1 is 2, 2 power 2 is 4, so this is 8. Now the overall order of the reaction is 1 plus 2, which is equal to 3. Okay, now the last lesson is about the equilibrium expressions. Let me remind you about the rules before we start. Okay, K equilibrium. When we have equilibrium, this means I have A plus B in equilibrium with C plus D. Supposedly we have 2 here, we have 3 here, this is solid. Okay, we have 2 here, this is gas, this is aqueous, and this is liquid. Okay, now the 3 rules for writing K equilibrium are we write products over reactants. If there are coefficients, they become powers. يعني مثل هاي بتصير power, و solids و liquids are cancelled. Okay, so this solid I cancel, this liquid I cancel. Now how do I write KEQ? KEQ is products over reactants. The products are C power 3 over reactants V power 2. Okay, so these are the rules for writing KEQ. Now if I say for you, you have this reaction A in equilibrium with B and the K is 5. Now if I reverse the reaction B to A, how much is K? You flip K بتصير 1 over 5. Okay, if you multiply the reaction by a number 2A to B, what is the new K? K, this number becomes power because we said coefficients become powers. So it will be 25. Okay, so this is what you need to know in the last lesson. Okay, let's do this question. You have this reaction and you have K is 2 times 10 to the minus 27. Calculate K for the reverse reaction. And if we reverse the reaction, what happens to K? You reverse K. It will be 1 over 2 times 10 to the minus 27. Okay. Now calculate K for the reaction. If you look here, what did we do here? We multiplied the reaction by 2. We took this reaction, we multiplied it by 2, you get this. What happens to the K? It will be the old K, 2 times minus 27 power 2. Okay, I want you to write the KEQ expression for these questions. نبدأ بالأول. Okay, solid will be cancelled. Products over reactants. The products H2. انتبهوا ما بنحط plus بنحط ضرب. Okay, CO over H2O. Now KEQ equal. هون ما حدا حيتكنسل because of all of them are gases. Okay, so I will say products over reactants SO3 square over SO2 square times O2. Okay, بالنسبة للثالث نفس الشيء. Nobody will be cancelled because all of them are gases. So products over reactants. Okay, the products are NH3 square over N2 ضرب H2 power 3. Okay, another question. Okay, this is a question from last year exam. The correct equilibrium expression for the following system is. اتذكروا إنه هاي لازم تتكنسل لأنها solid. So we say P over R. The products are NH3 ضرب HCl over no reactants يعني over 1. Okay, so this is the correct answer. Okay, this is the last question. Here all of them are gases, so we will not cancel anything. So we will say KEQ will be P over R. It will be HF square over H2 times F2. Okay, so the answer is A. Okay, yalla, this is a revision for term 1 material. These are the 3 things. If you didn't understand anything, go back to the lessons of term 1 and you will find the explanation in details.